safety and protection in the work that they do. God, we ask that as they're meeting today, convening this time for discussion and decision-making, that you would do what the psalmist says to instruct and teach them in the way that they should go, that you would guide them with your eyes upon them, that they would walk in a manner that is pleasing to you. God, let their plans be ordered in the way that you would have them to go. God, we thank you for the work that they're doing. And we pray that you would guide them and give them your help so as they seek the welfare of this city and the flourishing of the citizens of Beaumont, that their plans would seek to accomplish what you desire in this place. May our city be a place of peace, a place where we do justice, we love mercy, and we walk humbly with you and with one another. But as we do pray today, we cannot stop without giving thanks for life. You've given us the wonderful gift of life. And even more, you made us for relationship with you. And through your Son, Jesus, and his death and resurrection, we have life. You are the sovereign King. And we submit ourselves to you this day, knowing that you rule and reign over all things. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor West.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Turner. Councilmember Durio.
Present.
Councilmember Getz.
Present.
Councilmember Felshaw.
Present.
Councilmember Samuel. And Councilmember Neal.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, today we have a big day. We actually have 5 proclamations and 1 presentation. And in the interest of time, we're not going to be reading the proclamations today. However, when your name is called, you're still welcome to come up and bring the rest of your party with you and shake hands, receive your proclamation, and we will also take pictures and you will have an opportunity to speak as well. The first proclamation is recognizing April as Fair Housing Month. And Jess Prince with the City of Beaumont CBDG Housing Manager will be the one receiving that, but we are going to do that after the meeting, since we had discussion about it. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing April 1st through the 7th, 2024 as National Public Health Week. Accepting will be Mr. Kenneth Coleman, City of Beaumont Public Health Manager. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Y'all can do a comment. Yeah, he just asked. I didn't see Kevin, but I see Paige now. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do it.
All right, we're going to do one with this and one with this. Okay, let's start with this. All right, 1, 2. All right. More. 1, 2. All right, thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council and City staff. On behalf of the Health Department, I want to thank you guys for recognizing National Public Health Week. And the theme for this year is protecting, connecting, and thriving. We are all public health. Public health has had some challenging times in the last few years, but I'm so grateful to the city administration staff as well as City Council and the Mayor for all the support you have shown us through these challenging times. But we want the public to know in public health, every number in a data set represents a life, a family, and a story. And our commitment as your public health department is to turn those numbers into narratives of hope and resilience. Every statistic you hear in public health is more than just data. It is the heartbeat of communities. So I want to thank my staff. I have some of my administrative staff here with me, but I'd like to thank my entire staff for the hard work and the commitment they give every day. Again, we thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month. Accepting will be Miss Kara Michael.
Try to shake and push.
Of course. Wonderful. All right, here's one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 2, 3. There you go.
I just wanted to take a second to say thank you. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because, at least for my family, my son Teddy does have autism. He's 4 years old, and he is just the light of our life. But we like to bring awareness and acceptance to this disability within our community. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Next, we have a proclamation recognizing April 2nd through the 14th as the 76th Neches River Festival Week. Accepting will be Mr. Jeff Wheeler and Mrs. Julia Matheny, and certainly anybody else with the Neches River Festival Committee. Please feel free to come forward.
Is there a phone you guys want me to use? We got plenty of cameras. Okay, go ahead. All right, one more. Sorry. 1, 2. All right, thank you.
Okay, who needs this words when you have that kind of welcoming committee? That was awesome.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much. Really, really appreciate the recognition. Thank you to council, mayor, city manager, and staff for everything you've done for the Neches River Festival. As Mayor West said, we're celebrating our 76th year, and I'm very, very excited to lead that effort. 76 years makes this the oldest continuously operating festival in the state of Texas. Also, this year, after 76 years, we have the highest participation rate for 250 young young adults that are participating in this festival this year. So that includes princesses, escorts, duchesses, and duchess escorts from around the community and around the nation, all the way even from New York. So every Beaumont high school is represented, and many surrounding high schools are represented as well. You know, we ask our participants, it's not just the culmination of the coronation and the ball at the end of the festival, which is April 13th. We ask our participants to write resumes, write an essay, participate in a very comprehensive interview process to have the opportunity to be selected for either 9 scholarships or the Royal Court. But none of this would take place without the stewardship and the hard work and dedication from our social chair, Julia Matheny, who creates an exceptional experience, an exceptional festival for all of our participants, so that they really get the most value. They come away from this experience with a new appreciation for the community, a new appreciation for the places that we live, work, and raise families. I'd also want to thank our director, Molly Moore, the over 100 council or chair people that put this festival on, and countless community volunteers, as well as the board, executive board, and board of directors that are here with us today. So can't thank you enough for your time, and can't thank you enough for your stewardship in this festival and for having it be able to survive 76 years and hopefully 76 years more. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
And now we have a proclamation recognizing child abuse and forensic services. Accepting will be Miss Cordelia Lyon, Program Coordinator for Baptist Hospital of Southeast Texas.
Did they want to take a picture now?
Thank you, guys. Mayor, thank you. Thank you. John. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you. Good to see you, Mayor. How you been? Thank you.
Okay, let's take a picture. I am coming. You can take a picture if you want to. Look, I don't know what I've done.
One on your phone too?
Yes.
Right. Just keep smiling.
Love wide angle. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Thank you, guys.
Cordell, get on it. Hi, I'm Brenda Garrison, founder and director of Child Abuse and Forensic Services. And I want to thank Mary West and the entire city council for this honor and for allowing me to speak this morning. Reality is 1 in 3 females and 1 in 6 males will be affected by sexual assault by the time they reach the age of 18. And 31 years ago, when I was approached to assist in launching the first sexual assault nurse examiner program at St. Elizabeth, little did I know that 3 decades later, I'd still be an active SANE. In 1996, when I left St. Elizabeth Hospital, a realization struck me. There had to be a more effective approach to caring for sexual assault victims. It became evident that many survivors would either depart before receiving care or refrain from seeking care altogether. Together with my sister and a close friend, 3 nurses, we formed Child Abuse and Forensic Services, a nonprofit organization. And we embarked on a journey that many deemed impossible. Our primary objective then, and it remains today, was to secure a confidential environment for sexual assault survivors. Additionally, our secondary aim has been to extend services to other facilities, ensuring that every patient, regardless of where they seek assistance, receives consistent and high-quality care. At Child Abuse and Forensic Services has conducted over 4,700 forensic medical examinations and testified as an expert witness in countless cases, multiple counties and multiple states. And I want to thank everyone that came to support us today as we received this honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, we have a City of Beaumont communications update from Paige Reed, City of Beaumont's creative marketing specialist.
Good afternoon, everybody. We are excited to be back with announcements for the week of April 2nd. So Beaumont Public Health is hosting a free health fair on Wednesday, April 3rd for American Public Health and Infant Immunization Week. You can stop by for adult and child immunizations, diabetes assessments, education, WIC services, as well as STI, HIV, and TB information. The Beaumont Public Libraries and 12 News will be hosting an eclipse watch party at the Downtown Event Center on Monday, April 8th from 12 to 3:30 p.m. You can learn about this rare phenomenon with hands-on meteorology activities and free family-friendly entertainment. Students, this one's for you. Are you looking to make some money and have some fun this summer? The city's seasonal summer jobs have been posted, and there are a variety of opportunities around the community, from recreation to animal care. You can find all the details and apply at governmentjobs.com/careers/Beaumont. Parents, summer camp signups are here. Join Beaumont Rec for games, crafts, field trips, sun, and fun this summer. Ages 5 to 12 are welcome with 2 sessions offered June 3rd to 28th and July 1st to 26th. Registration is open until full, and you can sign up in person at the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center at 2930 Gulf Street. Registration is also now open for Beaumont Rec's Youth Summer Track Program. Practices are May to August on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at Westbrook. Registration includes TAAF club membership, entry to the TAAF regional meet, uniform, coaches, and equipment. Sign up in person at the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center at 2930 Gulf Street through May 6th. The Community Development Housing Department assists in the city's revitalization efforts by providing grants primarily to at-risk populations. We want your input on what the biggest needs are in the community. Take a minute to take our survey at beaumonttexas.gov/community-survey. And save the date for 409 weekend. On Friday, April 26th, there will be a block party at the Fire Museum of Texas. On Saturday, April 27th, there will be a variety of family-friendly activities out at Terrell Park. And on Sunday, April 28th, there will be a Crawfish Fest and Spring Arts Festival at the Event Center as a new city partnership. And join us on May 4th for the city's biannual community cleanup. Part of the Keep Texas Beautiful campaign. If you sign up by April 21st, you'll get a free t-shirt and breakfast. Register at beaumonttexas.gov/spring-cleanup. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And for those of you that are here for proclamations and presentations and would like to leave, now's the time to do so. And thank you for coming. Hearing public comments now, so this is the time for any citizen that wishes to speak. You may make public comments on the consent agenda, regular agenda items 1, 4, and 5, or any other topic. Items 2 and 3 have already been heard in public hearing, therefore citizens cannot speak on these items. The city clerk will call your name when it's your time to speak. When you approach the podium, please say your address, city, and state. You will have 3 minutes for public comments. The green light will come on when you approach the podium, and the red light will come on when your time is up. Please be reminded that myself or council cannot respond whenever you're making comments, but someone from the office will be contacting you.
Irma Lynn Thomas, 2235 Leela Street, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon to all, and especially to my non-gender diverse city council. Hi, I am Irma Lynn Thomas, 2235 Leela Street. I'm here to address something that's been going on in the community as far as the number of employees that we have that reside outside of the city versus the people who provide the money and the tax base for that. It is the nature of the beast. It is what it is. It's no complaining. I think we just need to find and see what we can do about it. It has happened all over the United States. We have roadmaps on what we can do. One thing that we can do with our general employees is to do what St. Louis and others have done. They had where when you're in my city, don't talk up my streets. You're using my toilets, you're using my water, you pay a user fee that goes directly from your employer to the city. Okay, that one is fairly easy. And Jefferson County needs to do it too because 80% of their department heads don't live here. As far as my good union friends, police, and the fire department, don't even mess with them. It is a federal law. They have lawyers. We will be tied up for years trying to say that you have to live. At one time, they did have to, but the federal law changed that. I would suggest we make it attractive for them to be here. We offer some kind of service, some kind of packages. Nobody wants to live in an area that they feel is unsafe. We have an unsafe community. We need to do something about crime. We need to do something about our school district. We won't get any industry here. As you see, our last 2 plants went over to Orange. So you can't force anybody to live here. We want to make them want to be here because it's to their advantage. We will never have community policing if we don't do something to make our community safe for the police and others. Those are my comments. If I can be of any assistance with making this place better, please by all means let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've noticed a couple of phones. Please make sure they're silenced, please. Thank you.
Christopher Jones, 1045 Doucette Avenue, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon. Excuse me. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here today in my capacity as Director of the South End Charlton Pollard Greater Historic Community Association here in Beaumont, Texas. The forthcoming Consolidation Grant Program public hearing offers a pivotal opportunity to address the systemic neglect faced by the South End Charlton Pollard community. For decades, our neighborhood has endured the consequences of urban planning decisions that have marginalized our residents and eroded our community's fabric. The proposed 2024 budget must reflect a commitment to rectifying this, these injustices. We call for a comprehensive plan that includes the restoration of residential integrity, significant infrastructure upgrades, and the promotion of community well-being. This plan should encompass affordable housing initiatives, street and sidewalk improvements, enhanced public facilities, and vibrant recreational spaces, all aimed at fostering a thriving and resilient community. It is a matter of considerable concern that a substantial portion of our city's workforce, including those in pivotal public safety roles, reside outside of Beaumont boundaries. To put into perspective, 67% of our workforce employed within the city limits live elsewhere, thus contributing to other jurisdictions. This not only demises our tax base, but also raises questions about the commitment and availability of essential services provided by individuals we hire, especially in times of crisis. We've noticed from floods where some people can't get in or get out of our city. We understand the challenges surrounding residential mandates for city employees. However, the current situation is unsustainable. It drains our resources and affects operational efficiency for crucial departments which make up over 60% of our city's budget. We urge the City Council to explore innovative solutions such as incentives for city employees to live within the city limits, which could bolster our local economy and foster stronger community bonds. I do have more to address, and I will submit it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Crabb, 928 East Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, staff. Welcome back, Mr. Williams. Recovery good? My name is Charlie Crabb. I live at 928 East Drive, Beaumont, Texas. Those were a lot of good comments about making people want to live in Beaumont, and we need to address our safety and our school district. And let's see. Well, we're having another good day. A little sprinkling this morning, and let's see. Oh yeah, I crossed Laurel at 4th, and that's a really nice crossing now. We need to work on the railroad crossing there. Yeah, that always makes me slow down. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's some limbs at Laurel and Sparrow at the stop sign that need to be removed. And let's see. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, the 555 Main building is about gone. That's been quite a project to see that thing removed. I noticed the big crab claw was resting this afternoon. And that's all I have. Sorry I didn't use up all the time. Oh yeah, Mayor, this is a very good system. Thanks for bringing it back. The green.
We're not. Our kiosk is just down right now.
How long?
Not long.
That must be a challenge. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Herman Davis, 3055 Robin Hood Lane, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's good to be back. It's been a while since I've been here. First of all, I want to thank all you ladies and gentlemen for the great work you're doing for our city of Beaumont. Resident here, proud resident, love our city. And I know it's easy to see what we're not doing, but I see you guys doing a lot. So I appreciate all the efforts you're giving. I do want to touch bases on what other people were talking about the amount of funds we receive based off of people who work in Beaumont, but don't reside in Beaumont. And I see that we have a lot of people that reside in Beaumont that actually don't even work in Beaumont also. So it's a complex problem with, it's not any clear solution. I do know that in order for us to be a better city, we need funding. And there's only two ways to get funded, either increase taxes or increase the amount of people that are paying taxes. And since property taxes are the number one source of our revenue, we got to figure this out. So The good news is that other cities have done some things. I just want to suggest some of the programs that are out there so we can at least get an outline of what's possible. I know in Chicago, Illinois, they had to hire local ordinance where it required city contractors and businesses receiving financial assistance from the city to give hiring preferences to qualified city residents. In Atlanta, Georgia, they had the Atlanta Workforce Development Agency, which focused on connecting city residents to jobs, offer training programs, job placement assistance. And in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the City of Lakes Works. These were programs encouraging the city to hire within, but they also had programs encouraging relocation for people that were outside to come in the city. Tulsa, Oklahoma had Tulsa Remote, was an innovative program offering $10,000 in relocation incentives plus benefits. Harmony, Minnesota had a program. Baltimore, Maryland had Buying Into Baltimore and Live Baltimore. The results of these programs, some of them did well, some of them didn't get what we put out to do, what they put out to be. But the benefit from us is that we can look at how they didn't do well and we can learn from them. We can look at those that did do well and we can learn from them. So we can put some type of plan in place or we can execute it. I don't expect for this to be done overnight. This is a long-term deal. But every day we don't do it is the day that we lose out. So let's keep Beaumont growing, keep the great job, and appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Carlton Sharp, 5150 Plant Road, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Mr. Williams, welcome back. Today I stand before you to discuss a critical issue that impacts the financial health of our city. As you prepare for our budgetary commitments and strive to enhance our city's prosperity, it becomes imperative to consider the economic implications of where our city staff resides. I would like to present a case for the necessity of hiring city staff who live within our city limits, supported by data from the three largest departments in the 2024 budget. Our city financial backbone is strengthened by property taxes and sales taxes. The 2024 budget allocations for our three largest departments represent 64% of the budget, are as follows. The police department, $47 million with 327 employees. The fire department, $43 million with 303 employees. The public works department, $14 million with 135 departments. Now, these three departments are essential for our city's safety, health, and infrastructure. However, with an average annual compensation, which includes the salary, operations, and the benefits, our police department employees receive $143,000 a year. Fire department, $142,000 a year. City Works Department, $102,000 a year. And that's simple math. Take the budget divided by the number of employees and it gets you your average. Now, when we consider this, we have to address it because if 60% of our employees from those three departments live outside of our city, that would approximately mean that $53 million of our tax-based revenue is leaving our city on an annual basis. This exodus of resources diminishes our ability to reinvest in local departments, development, infrastructure, and community program. The economic ramifications of this situation are multifaceted. Firstly, when employees live outside of the city, their property and sales taxes contribute to the prosperity of other communities, not ours. Secondly, local spending by residents on goods and services and housing stimulates our economy, creating a multiplier effect that benefits local businesses and enhances community well-being. Now, to mitigate this problem, I submit to you that we need to do something to incentivize our local employees, the new ones that's coming in, or incentivize those who are on our current staff to come back. Just something that we need to consider. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amy Michelle Modica, 3200 16th Street, Northwest Washington, D.C.
Good afternoon. Mayor and council, I have one question. I would like to ask for a reasonable accommodation to change the rules, policies, and procedures to have Beaumont's Municipal Transit make a trip out to my parents' house located in Northwest Forest, the neighborhood right before the city of Bevel Oaks. My parents reside at 6845 Tallow Drive, Beaumont, Texas. They have paid their school taxes for many, many, many years for the city of Beaumont. My mother's a brand new triple amputee. She has wound care appointments every week, and she's running out of the transportation for that comes out to the house from insurance. You're only allotted so many. And she has one of the best insurances in the state of Texas. We are in need of the Lyft bus van from Beaumont Municipal Transit. Thank you. It cannot hurt to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beverly Hatcher, 7 Sandalwood Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Beverly Hatcher. I reside as a resident in Beaumont, Texas at 7 Sandalwood Trail, as well as the fact that we own our property. I'm saying that with great emphasis because we pay taxes, property taxes, because we are a homeowner. We pay taxes when we go to HEB. We pay taxes when we go to Kroger and Walmart, so on and so forth, even to the car wash. And so many speakers before me have said, and we want to continue to say, what's going on with having so many City of Beaumont employees living outside of Beaumont? So they are not like my husband and family and I. If they own a home, it's not here. They don't pay taxes if they go to HEB, if they go to Kroger, if they go to wash their car. Those sales tax are going to another community. It comes a time if I, Beverly Hatcher, don't speak up, things won't change. I'm speaking up today, gentlemen. I am speaking up today, asking that things change. There are all kinds of things within your power to make resolutions or rules or policy or proclamations, trying to see that the tax dollars that are going to Lumberton or Nederland or Port Neches or Vida or Orange, those tax dollars should stay here. Imagine what you could do at budget time with more tax dollars. It's time for me to speak up. Think about what you're doing and think about what we homeowners and City of Beaumont residents feel when we know you employ a major percentage of staff that do not live here. What's up with that?
Thank you.
LaDonna Sherwood Haley, 5265 Richard Drive, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I am standing here as a very proud Beaumont native. a graduate of Clifton J. Ozannes High School's first graduating class of 2000, a graduate of Lamar University. And there have been many speakers before me as well, and I want to echo that sentiment, but I'd also like to put a little twist on it. I don't want to just implore the city of Beaumont and its employees and who they employ, but I'd like to challenge you guys to get with all of the local refineries and the school district and Lamar and the hospitals, because there are a plethora of places that are employing people here in Beaumont that we don't challenge. So it's not enough for us to come and speak directly to you about what the city jobs are and what the city can require or mandate or incentivize. I think we also need to be found partnering with other local companies and constituent groups and BISD and all of these people, because Beaumont is a growing, thriving, beautiful place to reside and live. And I think that we need to focus on that. And maybe if we incentivize some things, Beaumont is a great place to live, work, learn, and grow. And I'm super excited about what you're doing, and I want to challenge you to do a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Addie Allen, 9695 Gross, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, city officials. I'm shifting paper because I have copies. My name is Addie Allen. I reside, like the secretary said, in 9695 Gross. I'm standing here because March 18th, in my saga of protecting my home with 2 6-foot fences on either side, and you just can't walk into my backyard, I had a gentleman, non-resident, that shows on the police report, that jumped my fence. How I know? Because there were witnesses. We have a police report that you're gonna get that has nothing on it. That's a travesty. To come and get a public record with nothing on it. If you've all gone to school and you turn in a paper and there's nothing on it, what do you get? And I asked this officer, what does it mean when you have a 6-foot fence and you got a padlock on it? The gentleman was willing to stay, but his employer came to the scene and had him to leave. Now, you have a copy of a trespassing affidavit. So I have my property protected. The police officer ignored that. It's not even in the report. That's just not acceptable. And then when you look at the police report that you each one should have, it says a resident status, non-resident, and we're talking about non-residences. There's more issues to this, but if one of a person come to your yard, your family will stay in the house, how would you feel? I was able to confront the man, got a picture of him, but on this police report, it doesn't show his name because his employer interfered with what was happening. That should not happen in the city of Beaumont, although crime is elevated here. And then I went online and it said for protection, and each one of you can Google it, where's the safest place to live in Beaumont? And it says West End, Calder Terrace, etc. And I heard a young man from Charlton Pilot say, there needs to be some parity here, that everybody needs to be protected. I am devastated. I'm not crying, but I'm devastated because I had my house protected. And then the police did not even pursue getting that guy because his employer was there and told him to leave. Shouldn't happen. Should not happen. So the report you see, he has his name down here, but worse, his supervisor wrote off on it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
LaShawn Proctor, 4680 I'm sorry, I can't make out the street. Huh? Jan Carr? Sorry, 4680 Jan Carr, Beaumont, Texas.
Good afternoon. Protocol has already been set. Thank you guys for what you do. As everyone else, just kind of standing on, I guess, living in the city and those things. One thing that I find in living in the city, I think that as an employee, people can live where they want to live. That's just a thing that just happens all over the country. But I think when you're talking about persons that's running your city, just as a council, you have to live in the city in order to run. City manager, I'm sure you have to live in the city to be here. But when you have your department heads that's running the city that does not live here, sometimes to me it says a little bit. Either you don't care enough about the city to live here, you don't think enough of the city to live here, and then we can go back to maybe the mandates, maybe the charter, maybe it has to be looked at to where, what does the charter say about those that run our city? Where do they have to reside? Because we all talk about tax base, and we know that tax base is the thing that make our city run and all of those things. But people don't live in the city. We talk about our school districts. We don't live here because they don't like the school district, so they live somewhere else. They want to go to Hardin County or those things because the school is a better system, and we understand why people move different places. But when you're talking about our city leaders, whether it's our department heads or all those people that run our departments, why aren't they required to live in the city? And again, their salaries, six-figure salaries and those things that it is. And I applaud Pastor Sharp. He did a good thing on numbers, so we don't need to go over the numbers because he can help you with that part of it. But just when we're talking about who lives here, if our leaders don't live in the city or are not required to live in the city, then why could we hold anybody else? I mean, and employees, again, they're just employees. People work somewhere and live somewhere else. But when your leaders don't live here, then I think that says a lot about whether who we have to be our leaders, or our leaders are saying a lot about the city that they live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for approval of the consent agenda. Any discussion?
Question, Mayor.
Yes, Councilman Turner.
Anyone with staff, can we speak to our ZIP bus line, and is it only within the city of Beaumont, or, can I get some more clarity on how we operate?
Sir. So the ZIP transit system only operates within the city of Beaumont.
Okay, thank you. And in certain areas like Northwest Forest and Beverly Oaks, is that considered outside?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted clarity on that.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion?
Yes.
Councilman Getz?
Mr. Boone, are you aware of whether or not there is a transport program for residents of Hardin County that would bring people in Hardin County into Beaumont?
So there is a rural transit program, and I believe Demi Ingman, our planning manager, has already reached out to the Regional Planning Commission to get some more information on that system, and we'll certainly relay that on to the individual.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And another option is RISE, which services people with disabilities and provides transportation. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, it's good to see you. Would you please go ahead and have the reading of item number 1?
Thank you, Mayor, and it's good to be seen, and it's great to be back. And if I stand for a moment, it's no disrespect for the council or the public, it's just I'm stretching. Okay. Council, consider a resolution approving the purchase and installation of remote fuel level monitors and related control panels for water production generators. And this item comes with the recommendation of approval of the resolution by staff.
Is there a motion for item number 1?
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded for approval of item number 1. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 2?
Council consider a request for rezoning from RS, Residential Single Family Dwelling District, to GCMD, General Commercial Multiple Family Dwelling District, or more restrictive district for property located at 3060 North Dowling Road. And at a joint public hearing held on March 18, 2024, the Planning Commission recommended 8-0 to approve, and this comes with the recommendation of approval by staff.
Is there a motion for item number 2?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 2. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 2, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 3, please?
Council consider a request for rezoning from RS, Residential Single Family Dwelling District, to LI, which is Light Industrial District, or a more restrictive district for property located at 5895 Laughlin Drive. And at a joint public hearing on March 18, 2024, the Planning Commission recommended 8-0 to approve the request, and it also comes with a recommendation of approval by staff.
Is there a motion for item number 3?
Move to approve.
There's a motion and a second for approval of item number 3. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving item number 3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. City Manager, will you please take us into the public hearing?
Yes, Mayor, public hearing number 1, council to conduct a public hearing and consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application and execute a contract with the Federal Transit Administration to receive partial operating assistance funds for the ZIP.
I declare the public hearing open. Is there anybody that signed up to speak?
No, sir, I don't have anyone.
Okay. Any other, there's no discussion, we close the public hearing. Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 4, please?
We have another public hearing. We have 2.
You're exactly right.
Item number 2, public hearing number 2, council to conduct a public hearing to receive comments on the public services, public facilities, and improvements line items of the Consolidated Grant Program's 2024 Annual Action Plan.
May we open the public hearing?
I don't have anyone, Mayor.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing at this time. Now, Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 4?
Item 4, council conduct a public hearing, which you've done, and consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application and execute a contract with the Federal Transit Administration, FTA, to receive partial operating assistance funds for the ZIP.
Is there a motion for item number 4?
Move to approve.
Second.
There is a motion and a second for approval of item number 4. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving item number 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. City Manager, will you take us into the work session?
Yes, Mayor, we have a work session, council to review and discuss the Chamber of Commerce Economic Report, and this was requested by council.
Mayor, Council, thank you. It's a great opportunity to talk to you a little bit about the Economic Development Strategic Plan that's been ongoing. I am pleased to report that we will have the consultants, Angelou Economics, in town on April 17th to work with Mr. Kenneth Williams to schedule a
one-on-one meetings with each of you, with the consultants, so you can have an opportunity to talk to them about the proposed strategic plan. I think it's pretty broad reaching. What I'm excited about is they worked within where our strengths are as a community with the idea that it can be the next level, right? So we are not going to be in Austin, Texas, where you're going to see software development, IT type development, but it's also an opportunity for what I call oil and gas 2.0, processing, chemical processing, those type of opportunities that Beaumont has a lot of the strengths in place to be able to do. And so this is a process that they have gone about in terms of meeting with individuals, focus groups, surveys, trying to get a lot of different inputs into the community, from the community, about what would work in Beaumont. And there's really 4 stools to this proposal. One is advanced manufacturing. Second is intensive business knowledge services. Third is warehousing and distribution. And 4 is entrepreneurship. And each one of those presents some great opportunities for us, and also recognizing that we're going to need to partner not only with the public school system, but with LIT and Lamar University in order to accomplish some of these things. And so when I've had a chance to talk a little bit with each one of you so far, I was showing kind of the market assessment feasibility in terms of some of the things that they identified. And I think in line with some of the things that you are hearing today, I kind of want to follow up with and add some insights in terms of what industry and businesses are looking for. But one of the first things that you'll see, yes, sir.
Are we able to?
So what you have is, for example, on the first page that I gave here is educational attainment. And having an educated workforce is a critical advantage for a community. And you can see the 2017 numbers versus 2023 numbers. Some of the numbers have changed a little bit. Some of them had changed dramatically. Part of that is loss of population. As we've dealt with natural disasters and those type of things, people have moved and relocated and not come back. A couple of key things that I think are real strengths. If you look at associate's degree, we have over 25,500 folks who have associate's degree in our community, over 35,000 that have a bachelor's degree, and over 14,891 that have a graduate degree or higher. That speaks well to the community, that we have a well-educated workforce in higher education, and there's opportunities, and we have a deep bench in terms of the skill sets for industrial construction, oil and gas processing, and those type of industries where we have great opportunities, and there's a lot of momentum that's happening. On the second page, you'll see the inflow and outflow, which is really kind of a leakage report, right? Where we have folks who are living in Beaumont and working outside of Beaumont, and where we have people who live outside of Beaumont and work inside Beaumont. And then you have folks who live and work in Beaumont. And so you always want to look at that as a community, because that becomes our baseline in terms of how do we go about creating a community where people want to live and work, pay taxes, spend money, and reinvest in the community. And so I think that's one of our key base points in terms of economic development and what we want to see. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes 5 to 10 years to turn the battleship. And so it's a great opportunity. And one of the key things that I wanted for us to be able to do is start with a baseline so we know what we're working with. And so you have that major component to it. And then the next page is really this circle, right? Yes.
Hey, Steve, I understand you said that major component, but it's not on the screen. And for the people that's in the audience watching from afar that might not be privy to the information in front of us, can you speak to those numbers?
Sure. Are you talking about the inflow and outflow? Yes. So there's about almost 40,000 people who are employed in Beaumont but live outside of Beaumont. There are 23,000 people who live in Beaumont and employed outside of Beaumont, and there's close to 20,000 employed and live in Beaumont. So that gives you kind of a baseline in terms, okay, what do we need to do to grow? Because what we want to see, just like some of the previous speakers talk about, you want to see the economy grow, you want to see people investing in the community, and you want to see the community be successful. And so that helps us get a baseline in terms of what's coming. The next key element, which I think is really critical for industries, is if you look at the Beaumont MSA, you're looking at almost 400,000 people, right? And so it's not uncommon for people to travel back and forth. We have found that up to about 75 minutes, people are willing to travel in order to get a good paying job. And that's traveling 75 minutes one way. So that means that they're spending a good part, hour, almost 2 hours commuting back and forth to jobs. I was recently at Port Arthur for the Port Arthur LNG groundbreaking. Had a chance to sit at a table with 3 gentlemen who are from Louisiana who work at the Port Arthur LNG. And they were telling me that they are commuting over 2 hours a day, going to and coming back in order to work there at Port Arthur, because they're good paying jobs. And that's what we're after. We want to create good paying jobs, and we want to see those folks be successful and live here. And like so many other folks have spoken before, invest in this community and be a part of this community. There's challenges that go with that, and in the report, and this will be a great opportunity for you to talk with the consultants. There's some things that, in terms of the SWOT analysis that they did, some of the elements that I think you want to hear what people said about the community and where some of the strengths and weaknesses are, and what we need to do to try to address those. I will tell you that success is really working together. I'm not a big fan of throwing rocks at things. I think it's a lot better for us to come together and find ways to address issues and create opportunities. I always tell folks, if you've ever been to a party where the host and hostess has been fighting, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to leave, right? And so I think it's important for our community that whatever challenges we have, that we are working together and trying to make things work for everybody and create that success. So I'd be happy to try to answer questions, but I'd also really want you to meet the consultants. I know some of you have met them before, but this is a great opportunity for you to have a meeting with them and have them share their thoughts and insights, and for you to share your thoughts and insights also.
Councilman Turner?
I think it's important to speak to some numbers that the people actually are watching can't see. Beaumont has over 31,700 millennials. The median age in Beaumont is 34. So the reality is our city is a young, thriving city. And I think that's something important that the residents and the people watching should know. You know, the biggest age demographic in Beaumont is the millennials, ages 25 to 39. And I often ask millennials around the city, do we feel like it's ran the way it actually reflects and the data and the numbers reflect? And I think it's important that we get these numbers so we can make data-driven decisions. Like, I don't mind sharing information like this with anybody in the community. I've shared it with multiple residents prior to today because it's very important that we make data-driven decisions. So, Steve, I want to thank you for coming forward to get this report together. I also want to compliment the committee on their comments. I don't feel anyone were attacking, but we were actually talking about tough conversations that I think it's about time we as a city quit avoiding having. I think we're at a point where we have to talk about the tough conversations and figure out strategic solutions in order to move our city forward. So I got some follow-up questions for our city manager, but I just wanted to thank you for coming forward.
Any other questions for Mr. Elanius? Councilman Getz?
In talking with the consultants, I heard you say that some of the concerns mentioned about from people that do not live inside the city of Beaumont is our school district and crime.
Yes, sir.
Now,
it's a combination of things. Yes, sir.
Those two things, you know, how much of that is based in reality and how much of that is perception?
It's a great question. You know, the classic response is perception becomes reality. And so, but I think there's, and again, Councilman Getz, I think wherever there's challenges, there are opportunities. And I know just in my conversations with each one of you, you are really committed toward trying to make stuff happen and move the city forward. And I think that is where our focus needs to be. And I think as you look at the process of, you know, this coming year's budget in terms of hiring decisions, there's going to be great opportunities to start turning that battleship the direction that you want it to go and make an impact. And I think that's really critical. I think, as I've told all of you, I think we're in this moment, and I think we have a 3 to 4 year window to do some things that can have a tremendous impact and change the direction and the trajectory of this community. Because if we don't, we're going to wake up in 10 years and this population is going to be below 100,000, and we're going to be going, what in the world happened? And so there's a great opportunity for us.
Councilman Samuel.
Okay. I know there's been a lot of discussion throughout the day concerning residency and employees. I recall several years ago, there was a residency requirement in the city of Beaumont. However, because of the Texas legislature, they brought legislation that prohibited us from utilizing residency requirements on employees or even department heads. It's only those that we either hire or we have to approve on the hiring, if I'm correct. Madam Attorney, is that correct, the legislation?
Yes, sir. It's Local Government Code 151.021.
So regardless of whether we want to have a residency requirement on our employees, we cannot do that by statute, by law. So we're going to have to find other ways to create incentives for individuals to want to stay in Beaumont. And I think many of our departments, we're already doing that. I know at one time there were incentives for police, but I've heard that, and I remember when we did have incentives, when there were requirements, but that's not something we have control over at this time. So with that, we're going to have to continue to do those things that will attract more people to the city of Beaumont and keep them here. We can't control what happens at BISD. We can only attempt to work with them in improving the district in the people's eyes so that this can happen. So I just want, that's been going on all day. And I knew that is something that's beyond our control. We cannot require a person to live in Beaumont and in order to work in Beaumont.
Councilman Neal.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Turner, and then Councilman Durio.
So first of all, I don't think anybody on this council is against hiring local people. In fact, I think that would be the wishes of everybody that's sitting up here. I'm also well aware that the charter pretty clearly speaks to what is the roles and responsibilities of the council versus what is the roles and responsibilities of the city manager. With that being said, I think that it is appropriate that council can have open dialogue with the city manager as far as what those policies and procedures state. Because there's lots of other things that need to be discussed. I mean, even going back to the fire and police, those being civil service, you can't require them to live in Beaumont. It's against the law. I guess through contract, there's ways to incentivize it, but you can't require it. Moving forward, it might be appropriate for us to have a work session and put all the facts on the table to kind of see what options there are. What are the roles of the council? What are the roles of the city manager as far as making sure nobody's overstepping their boundaries? But to help try to come up to some resolution on this. I know it's important for the citizens, and I think it's equally as important for the council to figure out how we can best help our citizens and employ as many from actual Beaumont as possible.
Thank you. Councilman Turner and then Councilman Durio.
Mr. Manager, I'm glad we're on the line to this topic because this is one thing I want to discuss. And again, I do understand the rules and legislation, but I also understand we do have the ability to incentivize. And as a council, I do recall last budget season, I spoke about this several times, where it was in the budget to incentivize local law enforcement and public safety officers to come back and reside in the city of Beaumont
and the council did vote down to decrease the budget and have a healthier general fund balance. Am I correct in this statement or am I incorrect?
Well, it was one of the topics when we talked about goals and goal setting last year, and it was a topic that was discussed with me as a manager, that what could we do to increase the number of people who work in Beaumont, live in Beaumont. So we were looking at some things. And in particular at that time, we had some discussions going on with EMS and the fire department about some things to get the departments better staffed. And so as a part of that budget process, we came back, city management came back with a proposal of incentives to give incentives for EMS, fire and police people to live in Beaumont, or if you're already an employee to relocate. Relocate if you were here. And those didn't pass. Now, one of them I was able to implement it with EMS. We were able to give EMS incentives if you came to work for Beaumont as an EMS incentives. And I don't have the exact numbers, but last I heard that was had an impact, a positive impact. So we did have presentations for public safety employees to provide some preferences, not policies, so to give some preferences if they were to move, live, or relocate to Beaumont.
And I think that's important to kind of discuss, because we can actually attempt to control what we can control and incentivize. And a lot of people have said that, and I did want to bring it up, that was presented to us in budget season. I said it several times. So I want to make sure while we're on the line for this topic, we just kind of talk about some of the things and, be completely honest about what took place. So thank you.
And we have a slide. Can you put the slide up? I have the slide of the presentation, what we proposed, that we provide incentives. Not that one, the last one, probably. About what we proposed to provide incentives for people to relocate to Beaumont. Back up one. You got a trigger finger there. That one. That's a residential incentive program that was proposed to get more people in police, fire, EMS to live or relocate to Beaumont. It was in some of the earlier budget proposals, but when we had to make some major cuts, that didn't make the cut as far as the budget.
Anything else, Councilman Turner?
No, sir.
Councilman Durio.
Does our human resources have a recruitment plan to go out and recruit employees to live in Beaumont? Do they have because some people, we have some openings, but everybody doesn't go on the internet, everybody doesn't go on Facebook, everybody doesn't go on our website and look at the jobs that we have. Are we actively out recruiting people from Beaumont to apply for jobs here in Beaumont?
Chris, you want to address that? Then I can add to it.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. What we do is we try to attend all the local job fairs, whether it be through BISD or other organizations here locally. We have certain tools to help us recruit civil service. It does not include the residency requirement, but it does help us recruit those to come work for Beaumont Police Department. There's incentive to hire sworn officers, which are nice because if you hire a cadet, you have to send them to Lamar Institute of Technology for that program. Hiring sworn officers can bring them in immediately and to participate. So we have certain tools that we do utilize, and Councilman Duro, you talked about where we place these jobs. It's placed among multiple websites, diverse websites. So there are tools that we can use to recruit. But as far as specific residential incentives, we do not go with that at this time.
On those, I remember at one time on those civil service exams, you can give extra points to people that are citizens of Beaumont, can't you?
We do. We do give extra points for Beaumont residents.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have some comments?
Yeah, we seek all avenues of recruitment and getting word out to recruit for positions. You know, we go through the Texas Municipal League, we go through the International City Managers Association, we go through National Forum of Black Public Administrators. We go through all of these avenues to recruit people for its employment to Beaumont. And a lot of it depends upon the position. If it's a planning position, we look at the Texas Planning Association and we advertise on their page, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a comprehensive program and going out and recruiting to get people for these positions. A lot of ours is we've got to get people in Beaumont to apply for positions. It's gotten better, but we as a group, as a council, as an administration, we all need to work toward that as a goal to make sure our people are applying for these positions and they're prepared and qualified for these positions for sure. So we have them there and we encourage that. I totally encourage them coming out and applying for these positions.
Do you have any idea what percentage of the city of Beaumont, the people that work for the city of Beaumont, what percentage of the whole workforce live in Beaumont?
Sure, I can share that information with you. I have a few slides.
I asked them to prepare some slides because we're getting a lot of the discussion about our organization itself. You know, of course, any organization can improve. So we're going to look at it by department. We're going to look at it by people who live in Beaumont and down. So we got some slides we want to show you about the city of Beaumont employees and where they reside.
I'm sorry. Before we leave that,
This was proposed. This was proposed in the initial budget I submitted to City Council. And as a council, it was one of the things that this council did not approve to include in the budget.
Before we go to the slide, I did know a couple of our speakers, Ms. Thomas and Mr. Davis, both mentioned that this was like a nationwide problem as far as having people living in the cities that they work. Is this just a Beaumont problem, or is this happening everywhere?
I would say the larger cities offer, you know, in some cases, higher pay and better benefits than some of the smaller surrounding communities and cities. So that's the trend, and that's true here. Beaumont, to make the jobs more attractive, we have higher pay in a lot of those jobs. And of course, we have good benefits at the city of Beaumont. It's a very attractive organization to work at.
We have to be mindful that some of these other places that they talked about, this was a state legislation that prevented residency requirements. That was the state of Texas. So there are some states that don't have that type of prohibition. So that's one of the things that we have to deal with. We're going to have to find, I mean, I understand we can create incentives financially, but what I'd like to know is what are some other ways that we create incentives, such as housing, or what other incentives are there out there? That's what we have to explore, because we cannot use the residency of the individual as a basis of hiring. Is that correct, Council?
That's correct.
I understand. I mean, it's understandable. We can't do that. It's illegal, basically. But we have to find a way to get people to live here that work here. And I'm pretty sure he gave a list of, he listed Chicago, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Baltimore. I mean, maybe some of those cities, it might be illegal there also, but they found a way to do it. I mean, not maybe it's not a residency requirement, but they found a way to get more of their residents that work in those cities to live in those cities. And that's what we have to do.
Thank you.
Councilman Getz and Councilman Turner.
Well, there is actually a little bit of a wiggle room in that local government code in terms of requiring some of your employees to live in the city, because we're able to do that with the fire chief and the police chief. They are required to live in the city of Beaumont by charter because it is something that we can require these officials to live within the city because of the desire to have them available in terms of a response time for an emergency. Am I stating that correctly?
Not entirely. So the charter states that the city attorney, the city manager, and the city clerk and the city magistrate, because those are positions appointed by council, are required to live in the city. The council confirms the police chief and the fire chief. And so they also fall under that provision of the local government code that require them to live in the city, but it's not outwardly stated in the charter, I don't believe.
But the rationale, I believe, in the local government code goes on to talk about if there is identified a response time that is deemed necessary for them to be able to get to an emergency situation. So for me, if our director of building maintenance, for instance, if we have an emergency at the Julie Rogers Theater and there's a pipe leaking and, you know, our guy lives outside the city limits, you know, I want our guy to be local so that he knows who to get to go turn the valve. I think that's one position we can possibly look at. Although that would probably require changing the charter to reflect that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You know, I think from listening to council, it's pretty clear that all of us would, if given the opportunity, prefer to have people that are living in Beaumont be the ones that are hired. Now, the question that we as a city also have to face is, are we getting enough qualified applicants from people living in the city to fill jobs that have to be filled? And that's a question that, you know, you, Mr. Manager, have to weigh, and, you know, because ultimately, like Harry Truman, the buck stops with you. And so you can hear what we would like to see done, but ultimately you have to get these positions filled. So, you know, there's also encumbrances in the city charter that prevent us from trying to micromanage your jobs. So I understand that as well.
I wish y'all would remember that sometimes.
No, I do know that. So, you know, it's a tough job. That's why you get the big bucks. But I think what you're hearing is a desire amongst council to try to emphasize hiring within the city.
Yeah, Councilmember Getz, for sure. And then this type of discussion, this type of feedback is exactly what we need to know what you're looking for, even during my evaluation for those. It was one of the things that we talked about, and I told you it's going to be one of the focuses for this year was employee issues, and so that's coming to fruition is what we're doing, and I think Steve was right. I think this is, and I could be wrong, but I don't think this is so uncommon in an MSA where you're the largest city, where people in smaller cities around you come to work there. They go toward the jobs, and that's where they go. And sometimes that's the people you have the opportunity to choose from. And it's a competitive environment. It's competitive around the state of Texas. It's competitive in this country for positions and for people right now. So all cities are really doing whatever they can to put themselves in a position to successfully get people, in particular people that live in their community, to do that. And that's our goal. That's our goal, to do that. I do have a couple of slides I want to show about departments and where our people live that worked for the city of Beaumont as an organization, for sure, because there seems to be some discussion about the city of Beaumont. So whether some of it's true, some of it's not, at least we'll know what's the case. So can I get you to put up the slides of the different departments? Okay, so that one basically is all city of Beaumont employees. That's all 1,262 employees, and that's your percentage that live in Beaumont, approximately 53%, and approximately 47% number. Let's go to this is city of Beaumont civilian. Chris, you want
It would be civilian employees, with the exception of sworn fire, sworn police, and EMS. So when you separate civilian employees from first responders, City of Beaumont employs nearly 69% of those that reside in Beaumont.
Yeah.
It's much higher.
So 69% of the civilian employees live in Beaumont. Next.
So department directors, looking at a total of 15, 11 out of 15 live in the City of Beaumont for 73%.
Out of the directors, 15.
Is that department heads?
Yes.
73% of them live in the city of Beaumont.
Next slide is on division managers. So looking at 41 total, 23 of those, which a little bit equals to 56%, better than half of division managers live in the City of Beaumont.
So those are employees. They're not directors of the departments, correct?
Right.
Right.
Okay, so we cannot control these where they live.
You can't control.
Right, but though that's a bit different. Go back to the last slide for just clarity. Okay,
Wrong one? Nope. There we go.
right. Okay, those were directors, and majority live in Beaumont. Now, and we can control the directors, is that correct?
No. We can as
No.
administration,
Okay,
yeah.
You
okay,
can control who you appoint or confirm.
okay,
So out of that 15, 3.
3, okay.
And that's the provision by the state. We can control those that we appoint or confirm, and that's it.
Yes, sorry.
So we
6.
can't expand that out any further.
No. You could with a charter change, but then there's a provision in the charter that says that council should not interfere with the day-to-day operations. So if you wanted to get deep into the woods of confirming every single hire, I would admonish that that would be really close to the day-to-day.
If we did that, I'm just, for sake of discussion, if we expanded that, then would the state of Texas permit it, or would they challenge us?
So I don't think the state of Texas would come down and swoop in, but if somebody sued you based on it, they would look at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
But just to Councilman Samuel's point, again, you appoint the city attorney, the city manager, the city clerk, and the city magistrate, and specifically states in the charter the city manager and the city attorney must live here, and then you confirm the police chief and the fire chief. So that's a total of 5, 4, 6. Ooh, good math. 6 out of that number.
Sorry to stop you.
So after division managers, looking at the fire department, 239 currently employed. You have 60 that live in the City of Beaumont, 179 that live outside of Beaumont. Keep in mind, we have vacancies in the fire department. It's very difficult to be selective when you have vacancies and you have to carry a certain level of service. So, yes, sir.
So again, like we had the incentive program up there, and we had the opportunity to control what we could control by incentivizing. And we said we didn't choose that as a council. And that incentive simply was $4,000 down payment assistance. That would equal $57,600 for that budgeted year, and $500 moving assistance to purchase/rent, and that would equivalent to $14,400 a year. My only concern is with these numbers being that alarming, that was $167,400 to the budget as a council. And that's why I was so opposed to not supporting something that was this affordable to do. And that's why I think it's important that now that we're talking about this, it's important to go back and discuss if we as a council want to move in a certain direction, we have to have a unified front and a stance on data-driven decisions based on numbers. And that's why I'm glad these numbers are showing, because these are numbers that are important when we're talking about incentivizing.
Councilman Getz?
As we start thinking about our new budget year, maybe that is something that can be brought back up, because these numbers are concerning. But one of the things that I'm going to ask you, Chris, is in talking to people in our EMS, our fire department, our police department, do you have any feel for whether or not the type of incentives that was being proposed last year would actually move the needle very much? Or do you think, the people that want to live outside the city of Beaumont wouldn't pay much attention, or do you have any?
Well, I think the incentives were that significant, especially down home payment assistance, in a time where inflation is very high and the rates are high and people need help buying homes, or even rental assistance. I think they would have made a difference, especially with the new hires that, we recruit and they're moving here to be in that position. So I feel like it would move the needle in that area. It's hard to say about relocation, but when you put incentives like that, especially in purchasing a new home, it's a big deal.
Okay, that's definitely something we want to talk about in more detail. Maybe do a survey, some of the recent new hires, especially those that have decided not to live in Beaumont. Ask them, would it have made a difference? I think that's the kind of data-driven information that we're going to need to have as a council when we consider these incentives. Let's see if some of these people would have made different choices.
I know that we're having a lot of healthy discussion, and clearly it's a high concern of the council. Perhaps we can schedule a work session in 2 to 4 weeks, or 6 if needed, and council can present questions that we can see about getting answers to, because a lot of time we seem to be asking some questions that hadn't had an opportunity to be addressed at this point.
And with that, it doesn't negate the opportunity to possibly still create incentives for those who live outside of the city to come into the city with some type of incentive. Or is that's still possible? Am I correct?
You can incentivize.
Yes, you can encourage. You can't require.
I thought one of the reasons that we pulled it out of the budget last time, though, was because it was going to create contract issues between the civil service departments too, and they would open us up to bargaining.
So anytime you add those incentives, you do have to apply to their contract. We had already completed the police contract, so we would have had to go back and revise the police CBA. The fire contract is scheduled to open sometime in the next couple of weeks or months, depending on scheduling.
And that is key, because those civilian employees, there would be no issue with giving them incentives to live inside the city. But the majority of those that live outside the city are those who are in police, fire, and EMS.
So, yes.
Chris.
Councilman Durio.
Over at the police department, you give tests, you hire some certified officers, but you also give civil service tests to people off the street that's not hired. correct?
Right, we can hire cadets and send them to the academy.
In that case, will you get more, if you're opening up the pool, would you have a chance to hire more people from Beaumont? If the fire department did that, if they just gave a test, and I'm just used for example, when I got hired, they gave a test to anybody off the street. If you didn't have a bad record or anything like that, you didn't have to be a certified fireman. I mean, when that happened, we had 600 people take the test, 300 passed it, 11 of us got hired, and out of those 11, 9 of us lived in Beaumont. So, I mean, would that be something that we might be able to do here with the fire department?
It would increase the numbers of those testing, sure.
But what I'm saying is, because a lot of them that are certified already, they live all over the place. If you could get people to just come in and apply and pass, and then we certify them, we can get some folks that live in Beaumont. And especially if we give them extra points on the test for being citizens of Beaumont.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to ask that at least staff come back and we have a workshop on opportunities. What can be done to address this issue that we're facing now?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is to hear council's concern and what you want to do, and then.
With that, what I would like to hear is some other means that other places have used to deal with the problem of lack of residents being in their workforce. That's pretty specific, I think.
Right. I mean, this was not, what I'm suggesting too is it give council a chance to email questions because it was on the agenda and some perhaps didn't know that it was going to be there, for them to be asking questions beforehand so that council, so that staff could be able to get us information on other Texas cities that if they're having any more success with it and where that success is coming from.
Yeah.
And this needs to be with like places that have some of the same restrictions, such as the legislative issues that we're having to stay within those boundaries.
I would recommend, Mayor, that, when we do our goal setting when we open up our fiscal year, we'll have a goal setting meeting. I would recommend this be one of those items because this is going to be one of your major deal. This is going to impact the services we provide in a major way. So I think that'll be a good time when we can have this as a major agenda item and have that discussion, and we can have that information for council. It's going to take a little time. I don't think we need to try to rush it in 2 weeks, and that's going to restrict your ability to have the information you need to make a decision. And we bring it back at that workshop, that goal setting workshop, and then talk about it there in an open meeting.
Yes, sir. Councilman Getz.
Can we go ahead and see, is there a slide for police? And
Yes, there's a couple other slides we can go through.
Next is EMS. So EMS is the lowest of all the numbers, the categories. You had 7 that live in Beaumont of 42, which is 16, almost 17%. 35 live outside of Beaumont. EMS is another challenge to hire because it requires specific skills. You have to be certified by the state and take these courses at a university or online, or it requires specific training to become, even EMT basic. And there's also different levels of intermediate and paramedic, which is additional training. So this is a snapshot of what it looks like at City of Beaumont. And PD is higher. 88 of 244 currently employed reside in Beaumont, which is 36%.
Did she go to the next slide?
how much would this proposed incentive program affect our budget?
how much would it impact our budget?
Yes.
I don't have that total right now, council member, but somebody else.
$167,400. You can add all those numbers up at the end, and that's what it comes out to. And I understand, discussing it, but again, we've discussed this before in the previous budget season and challenged staff for coming up with some type of incentive or something we can do. And again, as a council, they came up with it and we didn't do it. Even opening up we opening up a contract. I get everything we're saying, but I don't know a police officer that would not be willing to open something to incentivize. So I just kind of want to. That's why it's frustrating to me, because we're saying let's do something again we already done.
Councilman Getz.
Ms. Ray, does that number sound correct to you? Not challenging your math, AJ. I just want.
Yes, sir, that does sound about.
That does sound about right. That sounds pretty reasonable. Yeah.
And if you look at the stats you just saw, this is the impacts the area that really where the numbers are out of sync as far as city employees. It's not too much, and I think did we have one for just you had the civilian one, I guess, that percentage.
Right.
Yeah, that's all the
Without
slides we
public
discussed.
safety. Up there. So it could possibly move the needle quite a bit as far as an organization goes. Understand that council wants people from Beaumont hired here, and we're working on that as a staff. But there are challenges in getting people. We've had positions that's been open for months because we can't get those people, get people to apply. And then at some point it gets to a point where we just have to have people to do the job, or the job's just not going to get done. So it's a tough decision. We want to get that, but do we put somebody who's incompetent in a position? Do we just leave the position blank and the job's not getting done? So at some point, you got to get the best alternative into a job position to make sure that we are operating as an organization.
Thank you. Councilman Getz.
I don't know how there's a way to really quantify this, but I do think that an effort should be made to measure what type of ROI you would get by having some of these people that are living in Beaumont that currently are not, because now you're talking about people paying property taxes in Beaumont. You're also talking about people more like if they're living outside of Beaumont, they're probably going to restaurants and doing their grocery shopping outside of Beaumont too. If they're living in Beaumont, they're probably going to be doing their shopping at H-E-B and Kroger here in Beaumont. And they're going to go to restaurants here in Beaumont. So trying to measure what kind of return on investment you're going to get. Yes, it's going to cost us $167,000 to maybe offer these incentive packages, but assuming that we get some value on that, maybe we're going to get some return on that investment as well.
Councilman Durio.
I don't know who would answer this question. I know some of the people that live in Beaumont or work in Beaumont may not live in the city limits of Beaumont, but they may live in Jefferson County or in ETJ of Beaumont. Do those folks pay property taxes to Beaumont?
No. Councilman Turner.
Yes, and Kenneth, when it comes to our abatements, do we have somebody from the city of Beaumont? Because I know when we have these abatements, we say we're going to hire within the community, and we use words like we'll hire locally. With locally, are we specifically talking about Beaumont? And my next question is, when it comes to auditing, some of our entities we give tax abatements to, do we have somebody responsible in the city of Beaumont to do the auditing? Or do we kind of depend on Jefferson County doing the auditing, and who gets the report and what do we do with that?
Chris, that's more in your line of abatements.
Yes, sir. So to your point, we do have historically relied on Jefferson County to basically collect that reporting data, because often the incentives that we offer are often also offered by the county. And so we do rely on their auditing and their reporting to ensure that any folks that are supposed to be hired within the county are hired within the county.
If possible, I would like to see a report, if that's okay, of the findings.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Catalina. Now the council, if there's no other discussion, the council will hold an executive session for consultation with attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter regarding, in accordance with section 551.071 of the Government Code, fire pension plan proposal. We will now recess into executive session. Yes, we will be back.
Oh, we're coming back.
Yeah, we'll come back. 4:40 PM. May I have roll call, please?
You don't know our names by now?
Mayor West,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Turner, absent. Councilmember Durio,
Present.
Councilmember Getz,
Present.
Councilmember Felshaw,
Present.
Councilmember Samuel, Councilmember Neal,
Present.
and Councilmember Turner again. Present. Thank you.
Mr. City Manager, may we have the reading of item number 5, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Item 5, council consider amending Chapter 2, Section 2.03.074 of the Code of Ordinances to add 12 Grade 1 firefighter positions.
Is there a motion for item number 5?
Move to approve.
There's a motion and a second for approval of item number 5. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Now we'll allow council member comments, and I will start with Councilmember Neal.
No comment, Mayor.
City Manager, it's good to see you back.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilman Turner?
No comment.
Wow. Somebody take note of that.
Councilman Getz?
Good to have you back, Kenneth.
Thanks, Mike.
Councilman Durio?
Good to have you back. Happy Easter, everyone. Hope y'all had a great Easter weekend. And also, Kenneth, I hope we have staff looking into these cities that were named off as far as their incentives for the employees to live in the city. Chicago, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Baltimore, Oklahoma, Tulsa.
Okay, we'll have that information when we have that work session.
Madam City Attorney?
No comment.
Assistant City Manager Boone?
Mayor, real quickly, just passed out the update downtown dashboard for April. That's been updated. On the back, you see a draft timeline for implementation of some of those elements of the plan. And then also I'll mention that our downtown building enforcement is underway, and y'all should have received some initial updates on that, and we'll continue to update council as we move through that process.
Financial.
Yeah.
Chief Financial.
Mayor, welcome back, Mr. Williams. I would like to give condolences to Angela Wright, our IT director, on the loss of her mother, and Lisa White in my office on the loss of her mother as well, and both those funerals will be this Saturday. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Just like to acknowledge and thank the council for your patience in my absence there for sure, and also the work the staff did, while we steadily communicated. I appreciate them and what they're doing. For someone who went from first to sixth grade and missed one day, somebody who worked at the City of Beauty 13 years and missed one day, it's not great sitting at home injured or going through some issues like that. So it's great to be back.
Well, and I just welcome you back. It's good to have you back, and I'm glad the recovery is going well. And I thank everybody that stayed for the end of the council meeting, and certainly we've got lots of great activities happening this week and the remainder of this month, as they're on the city website and the Facebook page. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Yeah, here.